Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. Today we're talking about perimenopause and menopause. How is it affecting our brains, our skin, our hair, our sleep, our moods, our actions, and more? Let's get started. Listeners, today we are talking about perimenopause and menopause, and we are directly answering a listener question. The listener said, I'd like to hear you talk more personally how perimenopause and menopause is affecting your brain, skin, hair, sleep, moods, actions, etc. So basically, the whole body. And she wants us to get personal. So I think that we can give her that. What do you guys think, Mindy and Julie?
I think if the listener could see us trying to connect, she would understand what's happening with our brains right now. And yes, it's a hot mess.
Yes. And Julie is experiencing internet problems today, so
Yeah.
she's recording from her phone, so she will sound a little bit different, but we need her wisdom.
Yes, we
Julie,
do.
are you there?
Just barely.
Okay.
And that's how we feel about it.
Yes.
Yeah. Just hanging on.
Yeah. And that's pretty much how we'll probably feel for the next 20 years. Just hanging on. Okay. But we wanted to dive right in and say, when did you first realize that you might be in perimenopause? And how did you react? Because it's not like you just wake up one day and you're in menopause. There's this whole 10-year or so lead up. So what was your first clue that you were on the road? I know mine was that I just couldn't sleep anymore. Like I would wake up in the middle of the night and not be able to get back to sleep. And I just can't even remember those days. Like my kids used to wake me up at night. Obviously, I had 5. I had to get up in the night over periods of years and I would be able to fall back to sleep. But man, when I turned 40, no, I would lay there. And I remember even posting on Facebook one time for advice from friends. I mean, I literally was watching documentaries of like squid or like something try to bore my brain to death, and I still couldn't fall asleep. So that was my very first clue. But how about you guys? What was your first clue?
Well, my first clue was super fun. My husband and I were on our 25th wedding anniversary. This was 3 years ago. And I was just happily going along thinking, oh, this isn't going to affect me at all. Well, then Bryce and I are on our 25th wedding anniversary and supposed to get my period and it doesn't come. And so what did I do before when my period didn't come? I took a pregnancy test.
Yeah.
So as we're nearing empty nest, I'm here taking pregnancy tests for thinking like, oh, we might have a surprise. Well, okay, no, there was no surprise. You've not seen any new Silmans being born. But when I got back, I saw my doctor and I said, this has never happened to me. He said, welcome to perimenopause.
Yes. Yes.
And that is a little TMI situation, but it's so funny to me that literally on the trip is where I first saw my first sign, and the doctor kind of welcomed me to this stage of life. So,
Yes. All right, Julie, what was your first clue?
Well, I don't know if this is good or bad, but I can't remember.
Oh.
So maybe that's my first symptom.
Her memory went.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's been a little longer for me, but I don't think I ever had skipped any periods.
Okay.
So I was kind of not, I had never heard of perimenopause. Let me just tell you, I thought it just hit one day. So I did start, this is probably way too much information for people listening, but I did start having like really bad, heavy periods that were, like going on for 2.5 weeks and just really bad. And so that sent me to the doctor to ask about that. And and then that's kind of when he clued me in, like, you're getting close, and I think I was probably 50 at that time.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And so, or maybe in late 40s. And I remember thinking, I'm just going to deal with this because, I'm so close to menopause that I'm just going to live with this. And it went on for like 2 years, and I decided that I could not continue to live with that. So I did at that point have a hysterectomy. So yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that was kind of my first clue. It was just it just kind of hit, you know? I didn't
Mhm.
really have I still to this day haven't had a hot flash. So, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you went on estrogen right after your hysterectomy, so you
Yeah.
probably if you went off that, you'd probably
Yeah.
notice, you know?
Yeah, so I woke up with a patch on, so I
Mhm.
we'll talk about that later because I
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
was scared to death because of some things that I had heard from other people,
Mhm.
Right.
um, and I was just clueless. I just did not think because I also
Mhm.
didn't see my mom go through this.
Right.
So I just didn't have any experience with it, you know, I just kinda thought it was a joke or, you know, or I don't know, I just I didn't really worry about it, didn't take it too seriously, so
Mhm. Yeah. Well, there are so many, many symptoms, and I think the first one, a lot of times, is that your periods start getting kinda wonky. They're coming really close together, they're
Mhm,
coming way more often than they used to, or not at all when they're expected. They can go on forever. Like that is
mhm.
Mhm.
definitely a clue. But then there's all these weird ones that if you read them, you'd say, oh, nobody has that. But I promise you it happens like itchy ears. Have you heard of itchy ears as a symptom? That
No.
is so true, though. It is. And I just saw a little Instagram reel the other day of this woman complaining about how bad her ears itch sometimes, and it's
Huh.
a true symptom.
Inside or out?
Inside. Yeah, yeah, inside. I know one of my big ones that I started experiencing is joint pain, mostly hip pain. And,
Mhm.
I never used to have joint pain.
Right.
I mean, like and it's really, I think, I read about it, and it's really related, I think, to, like, decreasing estrogen, and then your ligaments and stuff aren't maybe as flexible, or I don't know exactly, but it
Right.
definitely is a thing. What are
Right.
some of the other symptoms that you have experienced?
Well, you mentioned a couple weeks ago, I think, when we were talking maybe we were talking about something else, but just thinning hair.
Mm.
It's not like I'm going bald or anything, but I just do notice a lot in the brush, and a lot in the sink, and a lot in the shower that I did not notice
Mm.
before, and I just feel overall it feels
Mhm.
less thick. So I started seeing, you know, special shampoo bars for thinning hair, and
Mm.
Right.
haven't
Mhm.
tried any of that yet, but I
Mhm.
might.
Mhm.
Yeah, dry skin is a big one for me, but, you
Mhm.
know, kinda crepey skin,
I would say I definitely was experiencing hot flashes right around the typical time that you would expect it. Like, I can remember recording, and I think I got my first one we were recording one time. I'm like, "Oh my goodness, I'm just so hot right now." And it's not just like, "Oh, it's hot outside." It's like, "Oh, I just feel uncomfortably hot all of a sudden."
Uh-huh. I would say, I can feel my moods shifting more, like, more vastly than ever. Like, I can tell my hormones are rising and lowering at a
Mhm.
rate and levels that it feels very physical to me,
Mhm.
that I can tell, like, okay, don't trust yourself. Like, I feel outside of my skin right now, or I'll wake up and I just feel kind of like I'm fighting myself,
Mhm.
sludging through. I'd say energy level has been harder to manage, especially with teaching fitness class. Sometimes I'm like, I really need to kind of lean into this because it's hard to fight when you're struggling against your energy level, your hormone levels. And then just around my period, just more bloating and a lot more discomfort. And
Mhm.
so I have never had symptoms that I would say are painful, but literally like cramps, bloating, just discomfort. So just a lot more of that
Mhm.
I don't know, I have to pay attention to because it's starting to affect what I want to do on those days.
Mm. Mhm.
And
Or
maybe who I
ho
should
I
be
was
around
gonna
on
say,
those
or
days.
how you react on those days.
Mhm.
Or yes.
I remember someone saying that they'd had their kids a little bit later in life, and they said it just wasn't fair that they were raising a teenage daughter at the same time they were going through all these symptoms. And at the time, I was only in my 30s, and I was just like nodding along because I think she was probably about 10 years older than me. But I can so see why she said that now. Like, if there's ever a reason to have your kids early, it's so that when they're teenagers, you're not going through adult puberty at the same time.
Right? Well, it's funny because almost every symptom that you have, you can look it up and somebody out there will say, "Oh yeah, that's a perimenopausal symptom." I mean, I feel like if I looked up my car is making noise, it's going to
Mhm.
be like, "Oh yeah, that's a sign of perimenopause." I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
everything is chalked up to perimenopause. So it's hard to separate, and it's not an excuse or anything, but I just think it's funny that almost everything that women go through in the middle years can be chalked up to perimenopause.
Mhm. Yeah. And, like, the first organ that she said is, "How is it affecting your brain?" And you really do hear people also talk about forgetfulness, like,
Yes.
they really can't remember, and I think one of the scariest things that we ever did was we had a book club with midlife women, and we read, I can't even remember what the book Just Alice. Was it Just Alice? Still
Yeah.
Alice. Okay. It was early Alzheimer's. But anyways, I really think that we read that too close to midlife because if you were, like, in your 20s or 30s when you read that, you would feel sad, but when you were a midlife woman reading that, you were like, "This is hitting a little bit too close to home. Could
Mhm.
this be me?" You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah, because if you read it in your 20s, you'd think, "Oh, that lady's so old." Uh,
Right.
you wouldn't realize how young she actually is. So, yeah,
Right.
I remember reading it thinking it, "Oh, I don't wanna think about stuff like this."
Yes,
Mhm.
but, like, your brain, you really sometimes
Mhm.
can't remember things, and I'm disturbed by that, like, I'm really disturbed by
Yes.
that.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, and just
Especially
the
when you
brain fog, like, "Why did
Yeah.
I walk into this room?" Or I'll be standing and looking in the fridge, "What am I even looking for? Oh, I was
Mhm.
gonna make a
Mhm.
recipe. Where was that?" Like, I have to really concentrate and retrace my steps to figure out what I was even doing. I've always just
Mhm.
attributed that to distractedness, but maybe it's menopause. I don't know.
I do feel like I'm fighting through a fog though sometimes, and it really comes to head when I'm teaching a fitness class because I have to have, like, clarity of thought, and I have to speak clearly and count down, and, like, I have to give cues and things like that. I have to communicate well.
Mhm.
Well, I feel like I am sludging through mud in my brain to try to make it through a 1-hour class where I can clearly communicate with people.
Mhm.
And it is a mental workout sometimes, and other times I'm like, "This is the best thing ever."
It depends on how your hormones are that day.
I really am praying. I'm praying over those days that it's a fog because it's
Yeah.
hard, and I feel it.
Yeah. All right.
Mhm.
Well, do you find yourself compensating or doing different things to make up for these deficiencies or these things that are bothering you? Mindy, you said you kind of have started thinking, well, do I want to do this activity on this day? Is this
Yeah.
the best time for me?
Yes, I really have had to start changing up, lessening the activities. Honestly, maybe my no care attitude has risen as well because I'm
Mhm.
like, I just don't even care if I do that. But during certain days of my cycle, I really just need to be kind of closer to home. I need to be able to rest a little bit more. And so I try to lean into that. If I am scheduled to teach, I have to teach on the days I'm scheduled that I change up the workout. I do more stretching, I do more plank stuff, I do, no plyometric moves, there's no jumping involved, and I think if I'm going through this, I know that other women have experienced this, and so, there are ways to work out that are a little kinder in those days, but I can't do certain workouts during that time. So I've really tried to just be smarter, I
Mhm.
guess. And if I can be closer to home, I'm closer to home.
Mhm.
I do remember when I said that I was going to try to deal with my symptoms for about 2 years. And the thing that kind of prompted me to finally take action was I like to travel. And I remember thinking I could not sit on an airplane for 8 hours
Mhm.
without it getting really interesting, like, they might have to replace the seat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, it was really embarrassing, but I couldn't go very long, without needing to be near the restroom. I mean, it was terrible at the beach. It was like it was starting to affect my life.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um, and so my doctor had kinda said, "Well, come back when you're ready." And I guess he knew I would be, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got ready.
Well, are there anything that has worked for you that you would wanna recommend for other people? Well, I feel like one thing I definitely and I feel like this is getting more and more press, or maybe it's only coming up in my page, but I feel like trying hormone replacement therapy has really been helpful. Like, when I started getting hot flashes and things like that, and you don't have to wait until you have not had a period for 12 months to
Right.
start that. You can start that just if you're going, like, a few months without a period, and, I mean, she put me on the lowest patch, but I didn't have any more hot flashes, and I noticed a lot improvement in my joint pain and things like that. So, like, I really feel like talking about that with your doctor can be a good way to alleviate some of these symptoms. They have, varying dosages that they can give you, and they'll usually start you out right at the bottom, and they want to give you the lowest dose that will take care of your symptoms. So I've had a good experience with that. I think that that's something that I would definitely recommend to people. Julie, I know that you take an estrogen pill.
Yeah, and I just wanna back up and say that my doctor was so great during this time. He was a man, but
Mhm,
he still knew what he was talking about, and, he really understood the importance and the benefits of hormone replacement therapy, and I just wanna say from a pharmacist's perspective, and I'm very thankful my doctor kind of understood the nuances of all this. Like in 2002, there was a women's health initiative study that came out, and the media got a hold of it and really swayed the public opinion that hormone replacement therapy was bad. Because the result, they actually had to stop the study because they said the risk did not outweigh the benefits. But and so that really, like, women were just in a panic, stopping their therapy, and for a long time a lot of women weren't taking hormone replacement therapy, and it can really have some long-term effects on your bone health, your cardiovascular health, other chronic things. And so what the media failed to grasp was like the route of administration matters. How old some of these women were older, like 65 before they were ever started on the hormone therapy, and it's really better to start younger. And they had risk factors, but they didn't talk about any of that. They were just like, "Hormones bad." That's what people heard,
mhm, mhm,
and it really just left a bad perception with people, and it did a lot of damage. And so, my doctor, just assured me that I didn't have those risk factors. I didn't have a clotting, disorder, and I didn't have certain kinds of cancers in my as a risk, and I wasn't a smoker. And he felt like it was perfectly safe for me to do it. And, I really appreciate that because, like I said, I haven't really had the first symptom. And, um, I do take the oral, and I am switching to the patch, just because the oral goes through your liver and it can cause clotting disorders. I don't think that I have those disorders because if you've been pregnant, those probably would have shown up by now. But, my new doctor, 'cause my doctor retired, said it would probably just be better to try the patch instead of the oral if you wanna stay on it longer, and that's kind of the other myth is, like, that you can only stay on it a very short amount of time, and my doctor said you can stay on it as long as you want. And I do think that that is becoming more understood and accepted. I did start following this OBGYN, her name is Dr. Mary Claire, have you heard of her?
mhm,
Mm-mm.
mhm,
And she's written a book, and she has this website, it's called thepauselife.com, and I appreciate it because she is a doctor, and she's 57 herself, so she's kind of made some apologies for, in her younger career, not really helping women in menopause because she didn't get it, she didn't understand
mhm,
it. So now she said, "I'm trying to make up for that," and she talks a lot about that, like the myths of the hormone therapy and, things you can do and why it's so beneficial. So I do wanna recommend her if you wanna
mhm,
find her on social media or go to her website. But
mhm,
it's very reassuring.
Since I'm a little bit younger than you guys, I want to give the perspective of not to HRT yet, but having symptoms that I'm still trying to manage until I get to HRT because I don't feel like I'm quite there yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that is something that I appreciate you guys talking about. I'm a part of a Facebook group that talks about perimenopause and menopause, and I feel like I'm hearing a lot of chatter about it and how wonderful it is and not to suffer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like Julie said, like I was going to deal with it. But anyways, I appreciate you guys talking about that. I'll say from the point of view where I'm at right now, I guess until my symptoms get worse, I feel like they're manageable right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so something that I'm trying to do is just lean into foods that are really good. I know my body is craving more starches, more bread, potatoes, rice. So while we talk protein, 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 I'm really trying to get a lot of good calcium, vitamin D, getting outside in the sun, just that natural sunlight. I would say stretching a lot actually helps alleviate some of my discomfort when it comes to being like bloated or cramping. Stretching actually helps alleviate that. And then something that I keep hearing about is creatine and how it helps with muscle repair, brain fog, um, just that muscle recovery. So I'm really considering incorporating creatine at this point in my life. So those are the things I'm trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because there is this period of time where you feel all wonky, but it's really not time for HRT yet.
Yeah, like it's manageable, it's not out of control. I can still live my life. I am starting to make adjustments, but I'm still able to do the things that I want to do. So
Mm-hmm.
until that changes, this is the season I'm in, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing that I follow this doctor. I've also seen Dr. Mary Claire a lot, but there's another doctor, Dr. Kelly Casperson. She talks a lot about vaginal estrogen, and she says that every woman needs to be on vaginal estrogen until the day they die. Like so many UTIs in the older population would not happen
Mm.
if the
Oh.
women were just on vaginal estrogen until they die. It's like, I think she said you can be on it for a whole year and it's only the equivalent of one estrogen pill. Like it's very, very low. Even almost every person that's ever had breast cancer, she says, can be on it. Like
Mm,
it keeps the tissues healthy. It goes in and sits up against the bladder wall and helps keep things the way they should be. And there's more, scientific ways of saying this, but you can always Google it. But anyways, like there is an increased risk of UTIs the
Mm.
older you get. And so
okay.
vaginal estrogen can really, really help reduce that. And it certainly
Mhm.
can't hurt. So
Right.
Yeah.
yeah. And it's very cheap, and she just says like it's over the counter in some countries. Like she doesn't know why it's not over the counter here, but she said really
Okay.
she can't think of hardly a woman that shouldn't be on that. So that could help alleviate some physical symptoms too.
Yeah. One other thing that I from watching Dr. Mary Claire, she said, like, what would you tell your premenopausal self? And I thought this was really good advice. She said that to shift your focus from thinness as a marker of being healthy, like just doing all this aerobic exercise and decrease calories, because underweight women and women that don't have a lot of muscle mass are the ones that don't do as well. I mean, they're more frail,
Mm,
their bone density is not as good, and we know that like strength training and jump training and all that is good for your bones. But she said they're showing that even like muscle mass is good for your bones. Like they work together to keep your
Mhm.
bones strong. And that's something that I don't think I ever thought about lifting weights when I was 30.
Mhm.
I was just walking, doing some aerobic, that kind of stuff. Like it just never entered my mind. So that is something people can do long before they get to this stage to kind of help their future self. Like they know that it protects against, like the higher your BMR is, which is determined by your muscle mass, like that's protective against insulin resistance and diabetes and
mm,
helps your bone density and stuff. So I thought that was good advice. Like our moms were just taught be thin, that was a sign of health, and she said it's really, really not. That women with a little more weight and muscle mass do a lot better.
Mm.
That's a good reminder. We have to lift those weights.
I know. I'll say, you guys, just from personal experience, it feels good. Like,
Mhm.
even if I can't jump or do plyometrics or do cardio, when I lift weights, I'm stretching, walking, it alleviates pain and it helps release some of the stress that kind of feels built up in my body.
Mhm.
So I always finish feeling better. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
however all that works, it works.
Another, like, easy thing I've done for joint pain is I just cannot have bad shoes. And I have to replace my shoes regularly. And I notice when my joint pain starts coming back, then it's time for new tennis shoes. Like, I
Yep.
maybe can wear them max 6 months. Like, they need to be at their peak because that's the only thing that's cushioning those blows from my joints. And yeah, I'd love to be able to throw on a cute pair of sandals. I would be in such agony by the end of the day. No, I need to find cute tennis shoes because I just have to have some cushion and some absorption, and, like, I have to have it.
Mhm.
So there may be things that you have to adjust.
I'll say the pain that starts in your feet goes to your legs, which
Mhm.
then goes to your lower back, which
Mhm.
means then you're just doubled over in pain. I mean, like, you're hunched,
Yes.
you
Yes.
can't bend over or stand up straight.
Yeah. No, that is so true, Mindy, because right now, I have had back pain for, like, 3 or 4 days, and, like, back pain to where, like, I can't bend over and tie my shoe, like, I have to, like, get in this convoluted pretzel situation to tie my shoe, like, can't lift my leg
Mm.
up to, like, get in the car without, like, having my hand lift my leg up, like, there's something in my back that's really hurting. And Steve's like, "Well, what did you do?" And I'm like, "I don't know, maybe I lifted weights wrong." But now that you mentioned that about the shoes, so we went to the pumpkin patch last week, and I wanted to have cute boots for the pictures. So I wore boots walking all around the pumpkin patch, and wouldn't you know, Friday morning was when I woke up, started with that pain, and
Mm.
I'm thinking that I wore cute shoes too long. Like, I really can't
Mm.
do that. And that's terrible. I hate that.
I'm
I
sorry, Marie.
I guess that's like my, shoulder injury I
Yeah.
mentioned last week from book club.
Yeah. Jill, you gotta tell that.
I went to book club, sat around a fire pit. I didn't even own the book. I read it on my phone. So I'm not even holding a heavy book. And I come back within an hour of getting home. I have terrible shoulder pain. I can't lift my arm over my head. I can't open the microwave or the oven door or the trash door. And luckily, my trainer was on fall break that week, so because I couldn't have gone. So I just used my left hand for an entire week, and
Oh.
I worked out today with her, and it was totally fine. Like, not even nothing wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
my
So
back pain has slowly gotten better. I told Steve it'll probably take a week to recover. And, every
Yes.
day it gets maybe 2 steps better on the pain scale. And I really don't believe it's any actual injury. It's just like a byproduct of having probably worn not supportive shoes.
Right, right. Oh, oh, that's hard. Like Epsom salt baths and stuff.
But yeah, so there's definitely a lot of symptoms, and there's so many things on the internet that people say you can try for all different kinds of symptoms. We could not possibly go into all the recommendations. But I think talking to people that you know probably
Mhm.
is the first line of defense and see what's working.
Yeah, this is why I go to the gym to work out, because literally everyone's talking about, what are you doing for brain fog? What are you doing for dryness, for itchiness, for bloating? Like, we all have discussions all the time about that. What deodorant are you using now? Because this one doesn't work anymore.
Perimenopause can definitely cause physical symptoms. But what about emotionally? We have touched on this with, Mindy saying that she just doesn't feel like herself on certain days. But, like other people, some people have asked us to like do a show on midlife anxiety. Now, I would almost bet that what they mean is the anxiety that has started to creep in now that they're a midlife. Like, what's that about? Like, maybe they didn't struggle with anxious thoughts before and now they do, or mood swings. Like, I mean, you can have wild mood swings, breakdown crying, irritability. I mean, you see so many memes of like women and their husbands chewing is literally going to drive them nuts. But like, it can be the smallest thing that can really be setting you off. And it's not like that wasn't your personality 10 years ago.
Right.
But you're right. It is very hard to discern what the cause is, because I thought about anxiety, depression. I heard people talking about panic attacks, and I've had all of those. But I really just think it's my life. Like I don't know, if it's because of where I am in the time of life. But I mean, I guess the solution is the same. I mean, we've talked about this. The greatest battle happens between the ears.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just really trying to fight, you know, negative thoughts and lies that I believe. Like, I guess the solution is still the same, how you fight it, but
Right.
Mm-hmm.
regardless of the cause. But I just feel like I am struggling with that, but I don't know if it's menopause related.
Or it might be compounded by
Mhm.
Right.
hormone.
I just know, like, I don't want to be the person that just says, like, I am the way I am, and you just have to deal with, basically my mood swing. And I don't want to rage, and I don't want to be depressed, and I don't want to be sad, but I also want to be in touch with my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know always what's true about how I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And so, to be able to be in loving and genuine and sincere relationships, I'm constantly like managing what's on the inside versus what's coming out of my mouth versus how my face looks. And wanting to be loving and kind and gentle, and it's hard sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, Julie, like the things that are going on in your life, it's just hard to separate. Am I sensitive to this? Is this real?
Mm-hmm.
Am I imagining it? And I think everybody asks themselves those questions.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's real.
Yeah, yeah. So, and then I tell myself so often, don't react or
Mm-hmm.
underreact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I struggle with that too, because I like, isn't that all of life where we try to push back the ugly thoughts and
Yeah.
the ugly talk, like that
Mm-hmm.
self-control, like I think that still applies, like no
Yes.
matter what the cause is, I still can't act that way. I
No.
mean, I guess that can make people more understanding, but I just feel like it's still my responsibility to keep it in
We
control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the worst parts of this stage is not feeling like yourself. I don't know. And maybe it's vanity. I'm sure some of it is vanity, but it's really hard to wake up and not be young and cute anymore. Like, it's really hard to be like not what anyone wants to be like. You know what I'm saying? And it's a gradual process, obviously. But like, for a long time in your life, and when I say young, it's in quotes, but you're attractive and
Relative.
yes, and you're cute and you know what I'm talking about. Every woman knows what I'm talking about. And then it's really hard to wake up and be invisible. I just feel like that's just a real change. Like, are we just like the invisible women? I don't know.
Or invisible, or kind of like they expect certain things out of you because of your age. Like, "Oh, you wouldn't understand that," or "Let me show you how to use your phone," or "Let me" you know?
Okay, you guys are hanging out with people that are too young. This is the solution, okay?
Find some really old people.
My my friends are 20 plus years older than me, okay?
Well, then
I'm
you're really
kidding.
young and cute, Mindy.
I'm kidding. Aging is, I don't know, I think it was that women's roles have always been very confused. So we're not going into all of the reasons women's roles have always been very confused, but it is still confused, but for a different reason now, because you look online at women that are in their 40s, in their 50s, 60s, 70s, they do not look old. They have all the help in the world and extra hair pieces and all kinds of procedures that I'm not going to be doing. And are we not allowed to get old? Can we embrace the wrinkles? Can we embrace the thinning hair? We still want to be cute and but age appropriate and whatever that means. And so I don't want to be the grumpy old lady. I also don't want to be grandma that's acting like she's 20. Somehow in there, I'd like to like age gracefully. Um and be generous and kind and thankful and full of
Mhm.
gratitude and have a fun, loving spirit. I
Yeah.
that's who I wanna be.
I guess there aren't
Yeah.
that many role models of that because you're right, Mindy. Like, everyone is always fighting so stinking hard against it that you receive the message aging equals bad.
Yeah, I went to a women's event at another church a couple weekends ago, and I won't say who this is, but if you knew her, you might guess who I'm talking about. She came up on stage, and I'm used to like somebody from the church maybe introducing the speaker and saying, "Welcome to our church," and now here is so and so. But it didn't work that way. This lady just appeared on stage, and she just had on jeans and like a black t-shirt. And I was still talking to the lady next to me, and I was like, "What's that lady saying?" And I was like, "Who's she?" And she said, "That's the speaker."
Mm.
And I was like, "Are you serious?" And I wasn't being critical of her, but it was like, "Oh my goodness." I don't think she had any makeup on. Her hair was just straight, just jeans and a t-shirt. And this
Mhm,
was at like a 2-day women's event.
mhm.
And she ends up kind of talking about that in her, message that she just doesn't put a lot of priority on, and she didn't look bad at all, but I mean, it was just kind of refreshing to not see you just really saw the real person, and she's very down to earth and kinda straightforward,
Mhm.
and
Right,
she goes, I don't know, I thought it was kinda refreshing because without mentioning names, we know other Bible study leaders who maybe sometimes it could be almost distracting, like the hairstyles, the jewelry, the clothes, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
right,
And to just not have just almost to have that removed. I thought that was really refreshing that
right,
she wasn't putting the emphasis on anything external. It was all what was coming out of her.
Mhm.
right. If I could say a word of encouragement right here after that, looking at all the trends that are really popular for younger women, younger girls, like these granny hobbies and the trad wives and things like that are going around. I mean, literally, we 3 are living the dream. We are actually living the lives that these young women want. And so I think if we were confident and embracing the season in life, like, we are the role models. They literally want to
They
be
wanna
like
be us.
us. They do.
They wanna be doing it, but still look like the way they look.
I mean, good for them. But if we're so happy with the way we look and feel, then maybe they will embrace it one day. I don't know.
Well, I have to tell something on myself because last weekend we watched home movies. That because we had put them on DVDs and we were watching, I think it was Andrew's 2nd birthday. So,
Prime of
we were
your
at a
life,
park.
Julie, prime of your life.
I was like I wasn't saying anything, and then Andrew goes, "Mom, you look like a model." And, it was very grainy,
Really?
not clear. It kinda had a fuzzy look because of how bad it was a VHS thing converted to DVD. But I was like, "Well, thank you." And I thought, "Come back next week, we will watch more."
Sign me
I
up.
I will go back even earlier.
Julie, how sweet. You still look like a model, though.
No, it was funny though because it was like hair was jet black,
Yeah.
no glasses on, and
Right.
skin was not,
Yes.
so it
Yes.
was funny. So I was like, "Okay, we need to keep
Oh.
doing this."
Let's
Oh.
refresh all our memories.
Yeah. 'Cause they obviously don't remember me like that, you know what I mean? Like, they
Yeah.
were very
Yeah.
little, and when you age with someone, you
Notice
don't
it as
I
remember what
much.
they look like.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another funny thing, I probably told this before, but one time we visited a new church with someone just because that's where they went and we wanted to go with them, and we went to their life group. And I remember thinking, "Who are all these old people?" And you're like, "Why are you with all these old people?" And they were their age, but because I had aged with our friends, I just didn't see them that way, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't seem to fit and they didn't seem to fit with those people, but they were our age. And that's a weird feeling when you're like, this is who I look like. This is who people are lumping me with.
These are my people, the
These are
old people.
Yeah.
I am the old people.
It's like, oh gosh.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go on to our next question, which is, how has this season affected your marriage or your friendships? And we can probably just include this answer if you're going to talk about your marriage. Do you even talk about menopause with your husband, or do you just let him guess?
I say, I'm sure John was all about talking about medical things.
Yes, but not necessarily this. Like I said,
Really?
no. I mean, I just don't remember. I mean, the symptom that I talked about, yes, was a problem, but
Yeah.
not like emotional things. There wasn't a lot going on back then.
Okay.
Emotionally.
Well, because I've had to kind of come to the end of myself, it's made me ask for help or maybe vocalize when I am in a weakened state. And so it's actually made my marriage better and actually made my friendships better because it's given me a reason to have to say to Bryce, I'm just really struggling today. Like, I feel like I could cry at the drop of a hat. There's no reason. Or I just need to be close to home, or my body just hurts. And he is like so thankful that I'm finally like including him on my feelings. And so it has helped connect us, and he's more than willing to step in. Um, and so that has, I don't know, I feel like we're a team attacking it together in a sense on those days that are hard, where I feel like I am fighting a battle. He's in the battle with me. And then with friends, it's really helpful. Again, I joked that I go to workout class just to talk about this, but it's just part of the friendships right now that everybody, you know, let alone perimenopause or menopausal symptoms that we're all going through and we're looking for help. And what are you doing? What are you finding that's working? But we also have adult children, married children, they have, grandchildren and kids in college. And all of those factors kind of create a perfect storm sometimes with whatever your kids are going through too. And so it's helped in the friendships to lean in. Even though sometimes these things can isolate us and make us even stay home more. Just being vulnerable and including, helps.
Yeah, I'm happy that women are talking about this more, like, in friendships. I think
Yeah.
it's very life-giving to talk with a friend about this and feel like, "Oh, I'm not alone." Like, or if you're talking with someone who's a step or two ahead of you and they can give you advice, or they can say, like, "This isn't gonna last forever," or "You're gonna turn a corner." Like, that's just so encouraging and helpful. And I don't know, I've never really had much of a conversation with this about this with my mom. And so, Julie, you said you didn't really talk about it with your mom, or you didn't watch your mom go through it. Like, I don't know if maybe previous generations really haven't discussed this much, but I definitely feel like with the prevalence of people sharing their lives on social media and stuff, I really feel like that's changing and will change. Like, I fully expect that by the time my daughter goes through these, that we'll have discussions and talks about them, and it won't be like this big secret or this thing that you have to like
Right.
talk about in veiled language or behind a closed door or whatever.
Yeah, there's no embarrassment or shame.
No.
When you said these words earlier, and it made me. I think it's funny that we can laugh at it, laugh at ourselves, and laugh at other people, like all the funny memes and stuff. And you said we don't care, and I thought of that lady that has the "We do not care"
Oh.
movement. She is just so funny.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I
Yes.
think we actually did an episode on that, didn't we? Sort of. I thought we talked
Yeah.
about
Or
that.
did we all forget that we did this?
I had a friend who says that's who you need to have come on as a guest on your
Right.
podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it's funny that, it just, it does help when you can laugh about something.
Yeah.
Yes, laughing is always good. Hence why I think that lady is so popular, Leanne Morgan, that comedian,
Yes.
because
Oh,
she talks
yes.
about this a lot. And it's hitting right now, a topic that maybe people haven't really talked about, but they're willing to laugh
Mhm.
about it. And I think,
Yeah.
even when men hear her comedy, they're like, oh, yeah, I've seen those symptoms. I've seen that happen. Oh, that's why. Oh, that's funny. And my wife's not crazy. Like, this is
Mhm.
happening to other people too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think sometimes they think that it's the woman, and actually, it's not the woman. It's like the stage of life.
Yeah. And it's true. It's not so taboo anymore. So there's help to be had with at least having conversations about it. But I will also share, we can put a link, or I don't know, I could share the Facebook group that I've learned a lot, the Perimenopause Menopause Facebook
Yeah,
group.
we can
So,
put we can put a link to that.
okay.
Yeah. Well, what encouragement would you give to someone who's just entering perimenopause, who's feeling scared or overwhelmed? Because I really do think that there's been some bad advice or some scary
Yeah.
situations that Julie and I were exposed to that made us like
Yes.
so afraid.
Yeah.
I remember when we were at a women's retreat and they had little breakout sessions, and I think Marie and I were both there. We went to the menopause session, and this is like I said before, it was really on my radar. Maybe it should have been, but it wasn't. And this was a lady we both knew, so we trusted her. It wasn't like, hearing it on TV or something. And she described it.
Mhm.
It was like a total nightmare. I
It
thought,
was.
I mean, she said everything was bad. She didn't know who she was anymore. She was, feeling like she could rage. She was angry. She couldn't sleep. She gained a bunch of weight. Just everything went bad. And I
Mhm.
don't even know if she offered any great solutions.
I don't think I remember her saying she'd woke up at 2 a.m. and just started cleaning out all of her under the cupboard, like kitchen
Yeah.
sinks. And I just remember thinking, oh my goodness, this is going to be our lives someday.
Yeah. I mean, she said, "My heart races and I don't sleep at all." And I thought, "Oh my goodness." Like, it really I left terrified.
Me
I left
too.
terrified. And so then when it came time for my surgery, I decided this is what I wanna do. I just remember asking my doctor over and over, "Am I gonna wake up like a monster?" And
Oh.
and I really did think, like, that was a legitimate fear that I was gonna wake up and be
Mhm.
someone else and not get the old me back. And he
Right.
was like, "You're gonna wake up with a patch. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine." But that was a real
Oh.
fear. So
Yeah.
I would say that it's probably not gonna be as bad as you thought.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's so many people talking about it. There are solutions. You can
Mhm.
seek
Right.
people out. You can find answers.
Mhm.
That's something I was gonna say is don't talk to just one person or maybe just one generation,
Mm.
because there are possibly some preconceived ideas like about HRT. There's, I don't want to call it new medicine, but maybe new practices, or some new help out there and maybe some more research done. And so seeking a wide berth of advice to try to come to some answers to get some help. And you don't have to suffer,
Mhm.
Mhm.
so you don't have to be afraid. It's a wonderful time of life, and so it's really just combating one symptom at a time, and it's not gonna be a dumpster fire. I mean, you're still you. So we're
It may be a dumpster fire someday, or I mean, some days, but on the whole, it doesn't have to
on
be a
the
dumpster
whole,
fire.
it's a great time of life, it's a great season, and there's help to be had, and everybody else is going through it, and somehow
Yeah.
women have walked through this stage and,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like, there's help.
Mhm.
Like, I just always think of that, like, you don't need to suffer. I mean, you might have to be uncomfortable, and there may be things that, yes, you just can't get past,
Mhm.
but usually there's something for a lot of these things, that can
Right,
make it better. Like, don't just
right,
think, well, this is my lot in life and there's nothing that can be done. Like, try to see if there can maybe be something done.
right.
So that's our advice for if you're going into it. Now, here's just a funny little thing. While you're going into it, you can sing these theme songs to yourself because both Julie and Mindy have menopause theme songs. If menopause had a theme song, what would it be, Mindy?
I quickly went to Shania Twain, Honey, I'm Home. So some of the lyrics, Shania Twain's song, Honey, I'm Home, I know that the title doesn't really give it away, but she literally describes the worst day ever happening. And she's talking to her honey. And she says things like, just when I thought things couldn't get worse, I realized I forgot my purse. With all the stress, I must confess, this could be worse than PMS. This job ain't worth the pay. Can't wait till the end of the day. Hey, honey, I'm on my way. And so she just goes on into just again describing the worst day possible. And she's asking for help. And she's like, basically, I'm gonna sit in front of the TV and drink. I heard it first as a teenager. It's always cracked me up, but listening to her describe like all the things that went wrong in her day, she's going to end the day drinking in front of the TV, which I don't recommend unless it's hot water.
Yeah. Okay, Julie, what's your menopause theme song?
Well, I actually went to Spotify. There are menopause playlists, you guys.
Really?
Oh.
I don't recommend them. Most of them there were lots of foul things on there, or like heavy metal, death metal, anger, raging songs.
Oh my.
But these were mostly for the titles, and I thought these were funny. Don't Stand So Close to Me by the Police.
Oh, yeah.
The Cher song, If I Could Turn Back Time.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh.
And then I Get By With a Little Help from My Friends.
That's very appropriate.
And then the most common one was I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor.
Oh,
There
yeah.
you go.
And hopefully we will all survive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was just talking to somebody who is about 10 years older than me this weekend, and she said, oh my goodness, it's gotten so much better. So that was nice to hear that this is not like a life sentence. It will get better. So, maybe talk to someone 10 years or so further on the line, and Mindy, you might need to go to 20 years further down the line. But
hanging out with my 20-plus-year-old friends.
And you'll find out that they survived and they're thriving. So
yes. And there's just no need to suffer in silence.
Right.
We appreciate the listener sending in this question. It really enabled us to have a good conversation. Listeners, come and find us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast or email us at midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com. But before we go, we want to do I'm a Fan. All right, Mindy, what are you a fan of this week?
I'm a fan of the new menopause group on Facebook. This is the Facebook group that I was describing. You do have to join it. But just to read a couple of the topics that people wrote in recently, someone says, does anyone suffer from hip pain when sleeping on their sides? Wondering if this is related to menopause and or cortisol. Somebody said, anyone taking creatine supplement? What are your experiences? And then a lot of people write in. And so they talk about HRT, the patch, different symptoms they're having. What are you doing? It's a community of women that are trying to help each other out. And so for the most part, all the people that I've seen in the group have been very positive and encouraging. So
that's good.
I really have been encouraged by the group. And so I would recommend it.
Okay, I'll put a link to that in our show notes.
Okay.
Yeah. Julie, what are you a fan of this week?
All right. I don't really have a product or anything, so I will also say an Instagram account for Dr. Mary Claire Haver, Haver. She does a lot of reels where she just answers the questions, kind of like what you talked about, Mindy, like, well, what should I be doing for this? Or she explains why. Like just this week, I had answered this question, I think on a previous week about protein. Like I like to eat protein dense food, get a lot of protein, but I've been hearing lately like, oh, you need 100 grams of protein. I thought, how do I know that? And she gave me like, okay, they used to say you needed this amount of protein, but you actually need, well, it says 1.3 to 1.6 grams of protein for per kilogram of body mass. And if you take your weight and divide by 2.2, that's how you get kilograms.
Oh.
So you just take your weight, divide by 2.2, that gives you how many kilograms you are. And then you need 1.3 to 1.6 grams per kilogram. So I'm around 80 grams of protein a day. So that makes sense to me. Like I like to know why and how they came up with that number. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and because she said, you need more protein, and women typically eat less. So there's a kind of a compounded problem there.
Yeah.
So it is important. So I like her little explanation. So she's good to follow. And then you can go to her website too if you want more information.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. All right, I'm a fan this week of a book that I read, and I couldn't stop reading it. And then as soon as I was done with it, I sent out a message to our book club saying that that'll be our next book. So it's called The God of the Woods by Liz Moore, and it's a mystery, and it follows the 1975 disappearance of a 13-year-old girl from her summer camp, which mirrors the vanishing of her brother 14 years earlier. And it's fiction, but I really honestly did not know how it was going to end until like the last few pages. And it's so hard, I think, for authors to write a mystery where you don't, within like the first third of the book, know probably who it's going to be. And so I just appreciated that this really kept my attention till the end. I kept on wanting to pick it back up so I could find out what was going to happen next. So I will put a link, and it wasn't like graphic or, anything like that. So I'll put a link to that in our show notes. And if anyone else just wants a mystery that they can be riveted by, they can pick this one up.
Awesome.
All right, Julie and Mindy, I enjoyed talking with you, and I'm sure we'll continue this conversation for many years to come.
Yes.
Probably so.
I'm good. Look, we'll keep laughing. This was fun.
Okay, we'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
We're so happy you joined us today. You can find the show notes for this episode at midlifematterspodcast.com. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.